Hello, I'm going to talk about some real simple instructions for the use of Word with EndNote. This is for people with really minimal experience of using Word and EndNote together. The real basics just to get you going, but will also be, as much as you need to work with these programs together effectively. So here I have a Word document I've been working on that I'm going to use as an example here. And I also have my EndNote library open. So I'm on a Mac computer. I'm using EndNote X9 and Microsoft Word. So my EndNote library has been populated, and if you're not sure how to do that, I suggest you check out my other video called Simple Importing of References into EndNote. So I'm not talking about that now, so I'm assuming you've already got an EndNote library, and this is the document. So if you look at this document, you'll see there are these EndNote citations already in this, and they're denoted by these I don't even know what those are, funny brackets on each side of the text. So here's a sentence without the text. In this referencing format, it looks like the reference goes outside of the full stop, so I can click my cursor outside this full stop, come back here, pick any reference I want. There's a number of ways I can get that back to EndNote. See up here, there's this little kind of commas, and if I hold on that, it goes insert citation. So if I click on that, it takes me back to Word, and it's automatically inserted that citation. Now, a couple of warnings with that. If I've only got one Word document open here, if you have more than one Word document, sometimes it can be confused in terms of which document EndNote is linking to. So I tend to just cut down to the one. I think it might be the first one you open that it links to. There's probably ways to change that. I don't know. So just be aware if you've got multiple Word documents open, that could be a little bit tricky. Now, the other way you can do this is maybe I can use the same reference. I want to put it somewhere else. Let's say it's in the middle of a sentence this time. So I'm actually in Word now. Now, in Word, you need to have this EndNote toolbar installed. So sometimes that needs to be installed. I'm not telling you how to do that. If it's not there, look that up. If it is there, good. So over here, we've got insert citations. Now, the simplest thing for me is to click on this little arrow to the side and insert selected citations. So that's back here. I've already selected this citation that I want. Back to Word, click this, insert selected citation, and there it pops in this sentence here. So two different ways of working there that are reasonably simple, particularly when I've got multiple documents, Word documents open. That's where I tend to go back to the Word toolbar, because I know it's going to insert it in the right document. Let's say I want to put multiple citations in, so I can come back to Word, and if I press click and shift, I'll click multiple, or if I just get control, so maybe I've got a few references I want to click, I'll come back to here, insert my selected citations again, and there they've popped up here, all 4 of those citations. Now, sometimes you might have a citation in here you're already using, so you might say I want to add this one up higher, so you can copy that and paste it next to this one, and EndNote will recognize that. EndNote recognizes this. So you could edit this so that it looks like the other one. See, between the references there's this semicolon kind of thing. So if I go back there, then I can edit that to one thing, but you don't actually need to. So Word will, or EndNote will recognize when there's these 2 references together and combine them, which I'll show you in a second. So pretty simple to get your citations into here. So at the moment, this is in an unformatted kind of EndNote version. So I want to actually put this in the referencing style now. So I've got Vancouver selected up here, and update citations and bibliography. So I'm going to click on, I could click on that, or I could click on configure. So I'm going to go configure. I'll just go update. Let's see what happens. So EndNote's working. It's having a little pause. Don't do this to me, EndNote. Yeah, the video is not paused, it's still going. So I don't know why this happens sometimes, so it's a good example of the frustrations of trying to work with EndNote sometimes. Okay, sometimes Word and Endnote can be a little fussy, and I've just experienced that there. So it's the old favorite of close everything down and start again. So here we are. So we've got these citations. So now I want to format my citations into a proper reference list. So I can, as before I was trying to do, click update citations and bibliography, and we can see that processing through. And now instead of those EndNote citations, I've got references here in the Vancouver format. And then if I come down to the bottom, there's my references. So if I wanted to go back to unformatted citations, I click on Tools, Convert to Unformatted Citations. My reference list here disappears, and you can see back in here, no longer is it the Vancouver style, but it's these EndNote links. So I'll just update this again. Now, by default, I believe, my reference list is popped at the bottom of the document. But as I work on this, I decide I don't want it to be at the bottom. So I've moved this text below here, but so I think if I go, I'll just save that. Unformat citations, my references have disappeared. So if I go update again, and it's put them at the bottom. So that's a little vagrity that you might have to deal with in leaving the references at the end of the document until the very end, when you might want to move them. Now, you also might notice here, different font, different spacing. Now, I could wait till the end and change that, but actually there's a simple way to do that in this toolbar. So if I go configure bibliography and go here, layout, now I can standardize the text. So hang on, I've forgotten what text this is. Home. So we're in Times New Roman. So back to EndNote, configure. So layout, Times New Roman. And this is the useful part here too. So I want it 1.5 spaced. I want to leave a space after between the references, so they're not so bunched up. And I'm not into this hanging indent, so I'll get rid of that. Okay, going through a bit of an update. So now you can see the references are in the same font with the same line spacing as the text, and they'll stay like that, I believe, until you change them in the configure bibliography. So that's very useful to just keep them in the same style and really just to space them out a little bit. When you're reading this big blur of references, that can be quite difficult. Now, I could work in this mode as well. So I can say I want to put a reference here, go back to Word, go with this reference. I can use this button because I know I've only got the two documents open. And that has inserted that reference and formatted it straight away. So that's because up here, instant formatting is on. So if I turn instant formatting off, and then I insert this reference again, see, now we have a mixture of these kind of codes and then the actual end product. So you can work in this manner. So sometimes instant formatting is useful, other times it can slow you down. So I tend to turn it off myself, but of course suit yourself. And then once I'm ready, I can just go update, and then that reference is added in. Now, so that's adding references. Sometimes you want to take them away. So in this format, if I click on here and I go edit citations, okay, so here are my 3 citations related to this, 8, 10, and 11. So the best way to get rid of these is to click on the one you don't want, click on this little button that you can't see very well because it's highlighted, remove citation, remove. Okay, we get a bit of an update, and then that citation's been moved from there. If this was in the unformatted citations, I could delete this one, or we'll go all the way to there. So now I'm just left with this one, and then if I update again, yep, now we can see it's only that one. If I'm adding, I just go next to it like this, and I'll go insert citation. Oops, I don't like to do it that way, so I like to go back, pick the one I want. Bush we'll go with. So insert selected citation. So now you can see this is right next to the actual citation as it will end up here. So if I update here, see how it's joined them together. So that's really helpful. So it just automatically recognizes that those references should go together. And if I unformat these, now they're tied together in the same kind of EndNote link. Other points around this. Now, EndNote's reasonably good at working with track changes. So if I turn track changes on here and I want to insert a reference here, insert selected citation. So it'll do it without being a track change. But if I want to copy and put this somewhere else, then it's in as a track change, but it'll still recognize that. I think generally too, when you update the citations, it kind of automatically turns track changes off. Let's see. Yep, so they've been turned off and added without the track changes. So usually you can work pretty well with track changes on. I must admit, I tend to turn it off when I'm doing a final kind of edit of it, but it is okay with track changes. Back to my EndNote. What else did I want to tell you? I wanted to tell you, so you can very easily change the style here. So I'm going to go to author date. So this is usually much easier when you're reading the document, because I might know exactly who fall is, and in my mind I'm like, oh yeah, I know that reference. Whereas if I'm in Vancouver, wasn't it? What's reference 2? Oh, I've got to go down here to find out what reference 2 is. Oh yeah, that's reference 2, fall. Yeah, I know that, but that's time consuming when I could have just known. So, but it's so simple to change the reference style that, that's one of the great powerful things of EndNote, being able to change that easily on the fly. All right, now, anything else I want to tell you about that? I don't think so. When it comes time to finalizing your reference list, there's often often little issues in this reference list, shall we say. So for instance, if I pick out this one here, International Journal of Gynecological and Obstetrics, I might not want the full journal title. I might want the abbreviated title. So that might mean, who was the author on that one? Corsair. Going back to my EndNote library, looking at Corsair. Yeah, you can see in here that the journal title is in full, not in abbreviated form. Yeah, here's I'll just grab this. Whoops. Grab a browser. Go to here. Oops, no, not to there. Back to my Word document. All right, so I've got this journal. Copy, paste that into the browser and go abbreviation. So the standard abbreviation, here it is. So I can copy this, go back to my EndNote library, put it in the journal name, and I'm going to get rid of the full stops. Click off that reference because that kind of saves the changes. Now when I'm Corsair, you can see it's the International Journal of Gynecological and Obstetrics in this shorthand. So if I go back to my Word document, here we have it in long form. But if I update, and there we go. Corsair's been changed to this short format. So that can be useful to do because most of the time you are using these abbreviated forms. There may be other ways around it, but that's the simplest way I find. For some reason, and I have no idea why this is, sometimes I change this, but this keeps still giving the old version. So in that case, I wait right to the end and change them before kind of submitting it. And you can do the same, like if there's other missing page numbers or, some different things in the, sometimes you might have the reference name and you'll get capitals and all the letters. So you can go back to here, pick the reference. You can edit it in the side like I did there, or if I double click on the reference, it comes up and I can edit any piece of that I want to fairly easily. If you follow the instructions in my other video on the simple importing of references into EndNote, that will minimize the amount of changes you have to make when you go to finalize your reference list. Sometimes you might be looking for a journal and it's not in your list here. This list is selected from EndNote over here. So if you go edit, output styles, so there's a list here. If I go into my style manager, so you can see here ones with ticks on them. They're the ones that will show up. But there's a whole raft of different EndNote styles here that you can choose from. Invariably, the one that you're after might not be in there. So, but there's ways around that as well. So, I'll just close this, go back to EndNote. So let's say I need a EndNote style specifically for this journal. Let's hope this works. Yep, EndNote. Here it is, and I can download the new style for this. So if you do a kind of Google search, you can often come up with the EndNote styles of the journals that aren't already in EndNote. So if I go download style, and what that will do is download this .ens form or file. So now let's just check if this is already in here. So as EndNote, edit, output styles, open style manager again. So what's this? The International Journal. So International Journal of gynecological. So we see that's not in this list here, right? So now I want you a bit of trickiness here. So in an app, we'll go into applications, find my EndNote here, and there's a folder in here called styles. So I'm going to put this style that I just downloaded from the internet into this styles folder. It's asking me to enter a password for that. So now this is moved from my desktop into here. I'll close that. I'll go back to EndNote. I'll go edit, output styles, open style manager. Go down to international, and there it is. We've imported this new style into here. And then if I want that to be on the list of ones that I commonly use, I'll click this. Okay, now I'll close. So I think even if I go edit output styles, now that one that we've just added is in this list. And with a bit of luck, when I go back to Word, yep, there it is. So if I wanted to reference, sort this document in that reference format, there we go. It looks pretty similar to Vancouver, doesn't it? So not a terrible difference between that and Vancouver. Yeah, just a little different in the way that it's put in the reference list in terms of the number. So yes, there's all these inbuilt kind of styles, but plenty of resources on the internet to help you find other styles that aren't in there. You can edit those styles in EndNote. I am where'd my EndNote go? So here's EndNote. If I go into my styles again, output styles, open style manager. So say there was something with that one that we just imported, so I can go edit. So there's a whole raft of different things you can do to edit the way the citations look or the bibliography and reference list is formed. So I'm not going to go into that, but that can be helpful if you need to tweak the reference style a little bit or kind of make your own based on one of the other ones that's already in there, which sometimes I've had to do. All right, so I think that's pretty good about getting your references in there, switching between Word and EndNote, and changing the style pretty easily, and then also the way that looks there. There's one other thing I will just point to, and in Tools here, convert to plain text. So what that will do is take all these EndNote citations out of there being linked to EndNote and just make this plain text. So rather than, and you can see how when I highlight that, it's kind of bolded because it's still linked to EndNote, whereas the normal text isn't kind of shaded under there. So that way it would lose its EndNote kind of referencing. Never use that. There's no need to use it these days. I've never had any problem converting to PDF or using documents with this. And if you do strip that out, you're going to have to go back and put all your citations back in again later. So I would never use that convert to plain text button. Yes, never. So I think that is the main kind of things. Obviously, there's a lot more functionality that I don't know so much about. There may be better ways, easier ways to do all this, but hopefully those pointers can get you on the right foot to start with. So thank you for listening, and hope that helps. And I think that will be the end of my EndNote tutorials. Cheers. Bye.